can welcome on the stage a very special next speaker, business leader, Priya Agarwal Hebar, who's going to share a very interesting journey of being someone who loves music to now being one of the rare women in the management of mining. First, put your hands together to welcome Priya on stage. Let's hear it for Priya. And can I have the award for Meera on stage? All right, the award is coming. Hi, Priya. How are you? And oops, I'm going to just request, that's okay. I'm going to request Priya to present the Changemaker Award of 2025 to Meera Sayal. Let's hear it. A big round of applause for Meera. Welcome, Priya.
Thank you. Hi, Barkha. Nice to see you.
It is fabulous to be here. And guys, I want to just say, while I'm putting my earring on because women have to multitask, I just want to say that Priya's been an incredible champion of the festival. The festival and this beautiful studio would not be possible without her support. So the reason that we're all here in such large numbers is thanks to Riverside, Vedanta, and Priya. So please, let's have a big, big round of applause for making this moment possible. Thank you.
First and foremost, Barkha, you really do the impossible because it's the first time in 35 years of my life that I'm talking in front of my father.
Oh.
And I'm very nervous
Who's
because
right
I've
here,
spent
by the way,
the last
in
35
the first
years
row, so he's going to be
watching
kind.
him. So
Thank you for doing this. So let's start with music, actually, right? Because this conversation is about music to mining. And I think while you've done many panels where you've been asked all the sort of regular questions, and we'll get to that about being a business leader, not many would talk about their first passion, which is music. Do you remember that moment when you heard maybe the first piece of music or the first song and thinking how much it just transfixed you and then changed you?
So I'll start very early days when we just moved to London. I was about 10 years old. And my parents decided one day, my father decided that we need to move to London. He needs to find new opportunities here. And, one night I was told by my parents that pack your bags, we're going. And I was an excited young girl. I was 10 years old. I'd been to London, I think, a couple of times before on holiday.
Yeah.
For me, London was Toys R Us and like all the fun things and Hamleys and, there was Trocadero that time. That was my imagination, this very excited young girl going to London to live, this new exciting life. But things changed as soon as I came to London. One of the first schools I went to was in the south part of London. I'm not going to name the school. But at that time, London was different, and especially the outsides of London was different. And everything sort of started becoming a reality for me then. No one sat next to me.
Really?
No one wanted to talk to me. I spent days... in fact, there were people who saw me and just by looking at me said that she must not smell nice. I used to have a bath 5 times a day because I felt like I was unclean.
So really active racism.
Active racism. And every day I would call my parents. There was this line where you could do like a reverse charge call. And I had a line waiting for me behind because I used to spend hours just on the phone telling them that I need to leave. I don't want to be here anymore.
And how old are you at this point?
About 12 years old.
And that can be really scarring, right?
Yes, it was really scarring. But I think that was the time that music came into my life. And really, really, it was my safe space. It was my space of happiness. So I remember my mother had gifted me my first, it was not an iPod that time, it was something else, but it was the CD players.
Yeah.
So I used to just spend hours with music, and that used to be very, very healing for me. And that was when sort of I felt that this is the healing that I need, that I want to be a part of. If I can create this to heal others in the world, why not? And that's where the music journey started.
Do you think that you were able to leave that scarring behind? Because childhood scars sometimes never really leave you.
I think it was, I didn't think I would.
Yeah.
I thought it was a part of, I thought it would become a part of me. I became a very reserved, shy child. I didn't know, if you put me in a room with a lot of people, I used to just withdraw. But with the support of family and the support of my father, who says all the time as well that you need to be 25% better than everybody else to make a mark.
I mean,
I think-
every person who's been on stage right now has said that one of the things about being Indian and Indian parents is that they'll tell you to be best.
Better, yeah.
Good is not good enough.
Best, yeah.
Better ho, best
Yeah,
ho.
yeah. No pressure.
No pressure.
But then I think overcoming it and then the journey that I'm in today, I think that for me was the driving factor for what gets me out of bed in the morning today, because of the things and the atmosphere that I'm in. And this whole conversation about women in mining, I mean, we'll talk about that, but it's I think that was the most grounding journey for me. I think if I didn't experience that, I wouldn't be who I was today.
And I'm going to come to that in a moment, but one more question about music. I don't know how many people here know that you actually professionally trained to be a DJ.
Yes.
Which is just like, it really is like these unknown. Yeah, feel free to applause. Because to go from being this young child, uprooted from your reality in a school where somewhere you're made to feel less than, you escape into the world of music, and then you become a DJ. Is that your sort of way of self-expression? Is that your way of pulling the introvert in you out into sort of a public space?
So my music journey started, I played the guitar, I played the piano, I sang, I was doing all the grades. I was aspiring to go to Juilliard. There was a lot of music in my life, and then this whole venture into becoming a DJ was exciting because outside of work, in a mining company, you're spending like 12 hours a day with 60, 70-year-old head honchos all day long. You want to come home and feel your age.
Yeah.
So, and you want to also have people. So you come home, and it's being a DJ. You can sort of mold get into the whole music, but also have people around you enjoying the music with you, and it's building that community, those few hours of just complete joy and happiness, and having. I mean, it's part of that whole inclusivity and feeling of how music brings joy to people's lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if anybody related to Priya's story of growing up here, how she escaped into her passion, do raise your hand. We'll have time for a couple of questions. Yeah, why don't you go to the mic?
Hey Priya, you've inspired me quite a lot, obviously. So my stage name is AJ Sony, and I've been through mental health battles myself. I've been through depression, I've been through bullying, I've been through trolling, I've been through abuse myself from young age. So I'm autistic. I do spoken word and poetry and rapping. How did you overcome your mental health challenges, and how do you, when it comes to rejection, how do you overcome rejection as well?
So that's a great question. And, I think it's a journey. I don't think one ever can really fully overcome rejection. It's about how you pull yourself and ensure that, the one thing that I can, and what I tell my family and friends as well, when I'm not feeling great, I start feeling better when I find somebody else who's in a similar situation, and we help each other feel better together. But when you're feeling down, or when you're feeling, away, or, discriminated, it's always, the best feeling is to help another come out of it, and you come out of it yourself as well. I think it is the one best secret mantra that you can use. Help others and you will feel better yourself.
And I just want to say thank you also to stand up in front of a big hall and share your own
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Story. Thank you so much for that. Let's talk about mining and women. We've spoken about music and in a way what sort of support it's been for you. Mining, it's still a very male world, right? How tough was it for you as a woman leader to break into the world of mining?
So more than tough. So what I spoke about in terms of this whole inclusivity and the feeling of being felt one, equal. For me, my journey at Vedanta started in that manner. I'll tell you a little bit about, I was in my journey for music, and I opened the television one day, and I saw that I've become the board member of one of our companies called Kane. I had no idea this was going to happen. And this is what my father does. He likes to throw you into the deep end.
Yeah.
and and so I went to the board meeting. Had a lot of, very, very anxious because I had no idea. I had no clue about what this company was,
Yeah.
what it did, and anything. And the board secretary comes running to me and says, Priya, chairman's daughter, the kind of ideas you are going to bring, we are looking forward to having your ideas in this board meeting. And that was it for me. I was
Yeah.
terrified. I said,
Yeah.
I mean, forget ideas. I need to first figure out what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
But I think that was a journey
Yeah.
of change. And with the support of everybody, I think, and the company and its progressive nature, today half our board is women. And
That's great.
and I think across the world, mining companies, I think Vedanta has taken a leapfrog where nearly 30% of employees across our organization is today women. And 2019, it was illegal in India for women to go underground.
Really?
We fought, and in 2019, we got an allowance to get women underground. We were the first company in India to get women underground.
That's fabulous.
And these women have broken every stereotype you can imagine. And you should just meet them, whether it's driving the forklifts, whether it's
Yeah.
doing anything. The first all-women rescue team of India is at Hindustan Zinc. These women went to South America and came second. And these women don't look like the global women, tall, strong, but they came second, the rescue team of India, and it gave me goosebumps. I'll tell you a little bit. I mean, we're talking about, I was hearing the conversation since morning. We're talking about urban and semi-urban
Yeah.
India, where, of course, there's a lot of progress. But there is a very far gap when it comes to rural India and women. And last year, I went to Udaipur, to one of our underground mines, and our head of security, she came to me. She's part of the LGBTQ community, and she
Yeah.
came to me and she said, Priya, can I tell you one thing? I had two dreams in my life. I wanted to adopt a daughter, and I wanted to buy my mother a house. And because of Hindustan Zinc, I've achieved
That's
both.
amazing.
I had tears in my eyes. I had
Amazing.
goosebumps in my body. And that really is, for me, that's what changed everything. I mean,
Yeah.
that kind of impact to be able to have the opportunity, a little bit of an opportunity to have that kind of impact on people's lives, nothing can be better.
Amazing. I have time for one more question. Anybody? Yeah, okay, quickly. Yeah.
Ajit is my name. No better introduction.
Ajit,
I'm
yes.
ex-Vedanta.
Oh, lovely.
I
Okay.
fully endorse every word of what you said. Pioneer work done by the group in India, but you guys are done so well. That's the reason we're all here. India is poised to become economic superpower, third largest 2047, developed nation.
Yeah.
Leave aside definition. Economists are saying, so not me, unless the large workforce of Indian women
Yeah.
is made to go through reskill programs. We don't go there. We don't just
Yeah.
make it. People like you, leaders like you to roll out your mindset. Pan-India.
I'm going to add just a question
What
to
are you
that.
doing for that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think since, we've spoken about music, we've spoken about mining, but championing more women in the workforce, in leadership roles, just a last comment on that.
No, that's absolutely spot on, because unless 50% of our population, which is women,
Yeah.
get into the workforce, how are we going to achieve that
Absolutely.
$5 trillion economy that we're talking about? And it's extremely important. And the government is doing fantastic work in putting lots of policies out, but every corporate out there has to make that. And this is an argument that me and my father have. In fact, for me, I come from those sort of naive beliefs that it doesn't matter. It's true, and that's where we should end up. It doesn't matter if you're a man or woman.
Yeah.
If you have the
Capability.
talent, if you have the capability, it doesn't matter what spectrum of the
Sure.
gender you're on, you should be there. But in India, it is time that we need to push women.
Absolutely.
And we do need to, and that's his point of view. He says that, no, I want to hire more women. I know that there are men who are capable for this role.
But let's get more
But we
women
need
out.
to get more women. And if we don't push them, because it's a mindset.
Yeah.
It's not that they can't do it. We are seeing every day that they can do wonders. Our company is running more efficiently. Vedanta Group CEO today, Deshni Naidu, is a woman. She is running the mining company from the front. So everything, and the idealistic world is, and something that troubles me, none of us are women leaders, we're leaders.
Yeah.
Why separate, I don't like when people, in fact, when you go to many companies, women isn't part of the diversity. Okay,
Yeah.
you've hired diversity. No, diversity is a whole range. But, at this point of time, where we are as a country, we're very, very far behind in our gender equality, and it's time that we need to push.
Well, a big round of applause for Priya Agarwal Hebbar. And can I please ask for the award on stage? This is from us. This is from us for all the changes that Priya has spoken about. Our appreciation for you. And thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.